Does the 9mm with a slightly longer barrel rival the 357 Magnum when it's in a snub nose revolver? This has been a statement I've heard quite a bit, and I've even been guilty of making that statement before. But we're going to find out if that's really true. And I'm going to use ammunition that I believe is going to put their best foot forward for the particular cartridge within the same ammo brand. And that is the Federal HST 124 grain plus P 9mm versus the Federal Hydrashok 357 Magnum, but this is a 158 grain Hydrashok bullet. There is no HST in the 357 Magnum, or I would have used that. But I feel like these are both going to get a really accurate representation of the power that each of these cartridges are capable of. They're both in the technical law enforcement line. So these should be a pretty fair comparison in my opinion. So we're going to go and we're going to see what kind of velocity we're getting through the chronograph, see what kind of accuracy on paper at the same time. And then we're going to go through the Juggernaut box, which is 4 layers of denim on front of 1 3/4 inches of bologna, followed by 3/8 inch particle board to simulate bones, sternum, ribs, and into water jugs to catch it. So we'll see if the 9mm really can rival that 357 Magnum when you put that 357 Magnum in a very short barrel. So let's get started with the test. All right, we'll see what kind of velocity and accuracy you get with the 9mm with the Federal HST 124 grain plus P. We're about 10 feet from the chronograph. We'll see what we get. 12:18, 12:13, 12:10, 11:94, 12:08, 11:92. So very easy to shoot. I will admit that. It's very easy to shoot this round. Pretty good power factor for how easy it is to shoot. So let's see how the 357 Magnum compares out of a snub nose revolver. All right, now let's see what we get with the 357 Magnum Taurus 605 with a 2-inch barrel. See what kind of velocity we get with the Hydrashok 158 grain 357 Magnum. $12.03, 11.86, 12.07, 11.83, 11.57. My shots are a little bit high there. I'm just getting used to this gun. Substantially more recoil with the snub nose 357 Magnum. That's kind of why my shots were a little bit high, kind of anticipating the recoil a little bit, getting those shots pulled up a little bit. However, the velocity is pretty similar to the 9mm, but we're doing it with a lot less barrel length, and those bullets are substantially heavier. So let's see what it does to the Juggernaut box and how this will all translate to damage on the target. Alright, let's see what we get through the Juggernaut box with a 9mm plus P 124 grain Federal HST. Alright, it got a little bit wet here. Alright, it stripped off the denim. Not an impressive entry hole, but the exit hole through the particle board is very impressive. And what we have through the bologna is pretty good. I've seen better, but that is not really that bad at all. So let's see what we got in water jugs. Here's jug 1. Pretty impressive damage to rip the side of it open like that. And jug 2, I can see the slug right now. There's a hole at the back of jug 2, and it dented jug 3 just a little bit there. Not enough to make it leak, but there's a little bit of damage. So almost made it into jug 3. And the damage out in jug 2 is pretty good. And here is the slug. It looks really, really good to me. That's what you want to get in a perfectly expanded bullet. That's really, really good. Looks like very good expansion. It got really good penetration as well for that expansion. So that's pretty good. Now let's see how the 357 Magnum does out of a snub nose revolver. All right, 357 Magnum Federal Hydrashok 158 grain. I'm going to go single action on this, judging from my groups on paper, until I get used to this revolver. And we'll see what we get. The 4 layers of denim, 1 3/4 inches bologna, 3/8 inch particle board, and into water jugs. See if this compares to the 9mm. So here we go. It knocked me back a little bit. All right, it looks pretty similar in the baloney damage as to what the 9mm looked like. However, the particle board is completely cracked. We weren't seeing that with the 9mm. Exit hole's pretty similar in size. Now let's see what water jug we got into. Jug 1 looks very similar to the 9mm, but I do see a little piece of jacket, just a little tiny piece in the first jug. Jug 2. I see fragments of something in jug 2, and it's pretty good damage. It looks like part of the bullet is in jug 2, but I see a hole in jug 3. Looks like we might have something in jug 3. Yeah, just a little bit of lead fragments here. We got a complete pass through 3. I see a hole in jug 4. And there's a little fragment in jug 4, but I see a hole in jug 5. I see the bullet in jug 5. That's impressive. So what we got with the 158 grain is that it penetrated significantly further, more than double the penetration, and it stripped off a lot of the flowering petals as it went through. Pretty impressive both ways. I wouldn't necessarily say I'd rather be hit with the 9mm because the flowers look prettier. I think this, personally, I think this would pass right through somebody, causing extensive amount of damage, personally. Quite a bit of penetration. So overall, comparing these two different ammunitions, I compared them both because the power level was about as high as you'll go in each given firearm with Federal. And what I'm seeing here is there's definitely a difference here. Now for me, and I had to pick one right now to defend myself with, and I knew I was going to have to use a gun tonight. I would certainly go with the 9mm. It was very easy to shoot, hardly any recoil. The 357 Magnum, that's got a lot of recoil, and you saw it on my accuracy on paper, even from 10, 12 feet. Kind of anticipating it, and the muscles coming up a little bit. So if I was out here though, and I knew there was grizzly bears in the area, I would much rather have the 357 Magnum. So that 357 Magnum is a potent round, but it's hard to shoot well. And even in that 24-ounce Taurus, as with the 9mm, good power factor for how easy it is to shoot. So, you know, you really can't say which one's a winner because even though they're comparable bullet diameter, they're really not comparable cartridges. They're totally different in what they're doing. So that's just what I'm getting today between the 9mm plus P 357 Magnum and a 4-inch barrel 9mm and a 2-inch barrel revolver. And by the way, the bullet travel from the nose of the bullet out a 4-inch pistol like that is about 2.8 and some change inches. The bullet travel in the revolver is about 2.1 and some change. So really only about 3/4 inches difference in bullet travel, but you do have about 5% of velocity loss at the cylinder gap. So take it for what it is. That's what you get when you compare 357 Magnum and a Snubby to 9mm and a 4-inch pistol. So as always, comment, share, and like. And thanks for watching.